funky.
That's right, dude. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominic Doherty and Drew Fazy.
And we are your local guys, but only one of your local guys picked that music.
That was me.
The record.
That was me. Drew suggested it earlier, and I said this was as close as I could get to your suggestion, Drew. So
we have Doppler Dom and Funky Fazy.
Oh, man, you might get a t-shirt with that. I'll have to share your Dancing on the Sunset video with the people since you are now officially Funky Fazy.
That's right. I forgot about that. So, Dom, we have a lot.
The internet never forgets, Drew. The internet never forgets.
I'm shocked you haven't shared that already.
I respect.
I might get that video might lead to an invite on to Dancing with the Stars.
It could, or it could lead to you living in my guest room. But so we'll dance.
Likely.
We'll walk that tightrope, Drew. We'll walk that tightrope.
So, Dom, we got a lot going on in Ocean City right now. A lot going on. We have lots of, for another time, we have lots of shout outs.
Yeah, we've got to record those soon.
Yes.
There's just, I'll tell you what, man, you think the summer is the busy time in town, and it is not summer. It is Labor Day to Christmas is the busy time in town.
Yes.
It is insane. It's absolute insanity. More importantly, though, I shouldn't say more importantly, because it's not really more importantly. More dramatically, or I don't know.
Hot topic. The hot topic.
Hot topic.
The hot topic in town.
That's for sure. It was gone. Everybody threw up their hands in joy that it was over. It was done. It was dead in the water. But it's back on the table.
All right. So quick timeline. Mayor Jay Gillian, owner of Wonderland Pier, announced in the summer of 2024 that he was going to be closing the park.
Wait. You got to go back before this, because there's before this. Before this time, before they announced the closure of Wonderland, there was the test shot, the shot over the bow, if you will, which was Eustace Mita offered to purchase the land in front of the parking lot at 6th Street, where the volleyball courts are.
Between 5th and 6th.
Between 5th and 6th, he offered to purchase that
the parking lot and the boardwalk.
Yes. And he's going to purchase that land, and he wanted to build a hotel there. And that was him dipping his toe in the water, saying, "Ooh, let's see how warm it is here."
Eustace Mita being the man who became owner of Wonderland Pier a year or two prior to that. So October of 2024, Wonderland Pier closes its doors for good, much to the chagrin of hundreds of thousands of people that went there as kids and adults. Mr. Mita spent last winter going around to various groups in town and neighborhoods with an artist rendition of a new hotel for the property, which included keeping the Ferris wheel, refurbishing it and keeping it, refurbishing the merry-go-round and keeping it on site, and a few other rides, as well as other amenities. There was an uproar in town. A couple of groups formed against a hotel there. I'll just fast forward to August of this year. On the city council agenda was an item that would send that property to the planning board for review on whether that property was in need of a designation of or qualify for a designation in need of rehabilitation. That vote was August 21st, it was voted 6-1 against. Moving forward, Mr. Mita, after that meeting, said he was going to put the property up for sale. He subsequently received, to my knowledge, 2 offers at 25 million or more. I also heard from one of the members of Save Wonderland that they had made an offer of 18 million, and that Mr. Mita was asking too much money at 25 million. There's 2 offers on the table. 2 weeks ago, one of our council persons, Jody Levchuk, and let me not forget, it was suggested that council form a committee, a subcommittee, an ad hoc committee that would look at the zoning for the entirety of the boardwalk, not just for that parcel. That committee was created by Council President Crowley, and it's, from what I understand, has a great group of people from all walks of life on it, and they are doing their thing moving forward. And then Councilman Levchuk at the last council meeting asked council to put on the agenda for this coming December 4th whether the Wonderland parcel should go to the planning board for their review and recommendation. And after he did that, the place went nuts. The people against the hotel went nuts. Now, what I'm seeing, Dom, just tell me if you're seeing the same thing. Early on, a year ago, 14 months ago, the Save Wonderland group had a lot of support. Before they made any presentation, any plans, it was just Save Wonderland. Before our podcast, I don't really think people even knew what it was. They had a lot of support. I think fast forward a year, and I think that support has waned. I think the reality of the situation of that parcel being dark has set in, and I think all of the merchant groups in town, the Chamber of Commerce, the Boardwalk Merchants, the Restaurant Association, the Downtown Merchants, have all voted, and they all took their time and did their due diligence before they voted, but they all voted in support of the hotel. So do you see the same thing, that there's more support maybe today for the hotel with residents and local business people?
I am seeing a similar trend as well. You know, the 2 offers that came through were to make the area townhomes. They were by developers that have experience building townhomes. You know, since that came out and prior to this meeting,
which is not permitted use, by the way. There is no permitted residential use on that property currently. I don't know how they would go about getting that zoning change, but that's a conversation for a different time.
That's a conversation we're not going to get into based on one of the people that made the offers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And the other group that made the offer, they're a giant multinational company. They'll just do whatever they need to do to make it happen. I think that, the reality is like you said, is setting in, that amusements there in any fashion, however you want to draw it up, is a big stretch. It's a big stretch to make something like that profitable. It's a big stretch to make a hotel profitable. Anything you put there at this point, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Financially, to turn a profit in that property.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy it outright, from Mr. Mita, it's going to be an uphill battle to turn a profit there. If you're Mr. Mita and you're going to put $150+ million into the property, it's going to be an uphill battle too.
Yeah,
The question is,
let's talk about those numbers. So you have 25 million if you're going to purchase the property from Eustace Mita, 25 million for the property, 7.5 to 10 million in demolition fees. That was the estimate by an engineer. 7.5 to 10 million dollars. So now you have dirt.
35 million for dirt.
Right, 35 million. You have dirt. Now you have to build back up, right? Unless you're going to do it ground level, you're going to come back up to the boardwalk. I can't even imagine the number of pilings in today's world that you would need there, and especially to support amusements. The pilings
or a hotel
and concrete are outrageous. So and then the cost of amusements. I mean, you're talking about $50+ million investment, right? In some sort of entertainment venue. And really you have, what do the boardwalk merchants say? 100 days to make money.
And even with the hotel, you're looking at a similar type situation where you have these big costs associated with building it, with running it, maintaining it. It's a tough property. It's not an easy property, and it's not an easy decision for anyone as to what the future holds. Because the last thing that I think anybody wants is to see the decision, whatever decision is made, in 3 to 5 years end up being completely financially insolvent and go dark. Because then what do you do?
Yeah,
then
nobody wants to see anybody fail.
Yeah. Whoever's going to go in there and whoever's going to redevelop that property, you're in it for the long haul. There's no like, hey, 3 years from now I'm washing my hands. I can't turn a profit. You have to be committed.
Right.
So I give the city council credit. It's a tough decision to make. As far as like the support amongst town though, since Councilman Levchuk has come out and asked for the revote, the business community has come out in droves and said, hey, let's build. Let's go to vote. They've been asking people to come out and support to bring the numbers out the same way the Save Wonderland people and the people who don't want redevelopment have been asking. So, you've gone from the city council meeting to being in the council chambers, to being in the library, to now we're up at the music pier.
Yes.
So you're not really getting much bigger than that. There's no bigger venue here unless, we put a dome over Cary Stadium and we have it there. So, I mean, it's definitely the hot topic.
Yeah. So we're going to bring on an expert in the boardwalk. Let's chat.
Did you send him the invite yet?
I did not.
I can send it to him right now.
But I can.
No, I see it. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, but like there's no easy answer here, and I think that's unfortunately in today's day and age, that's what the world wants. They want an easy answer. They want a quick fix. They want hey, this is going to work, and everyone's going to be happy. It's just not the case here. I think there's just way too much emotion involved in that property. Yes. So many people are tied to it, through memories, through traditions, through all of this. And then you have the business side of it, the actual, like we've been talking about, the dollars and cents. Like, how are you going to make it work? How are you going to not go dark in 3 to 5 years? And that's a long runway too, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Look at what happened to the Revote, which is now the Ocean Resort. I think a lot of people forget that, everyone sees the one tower. That was actually supposed to be 2 towers. That was supposed to be 2 giant towers over there. 2008 happened. You have a big correction. They redesigned. The owners actually, the visionaries behind it actually passed away in a plane crash, and that kind of threw things for a loop too. You know, their biggest problem wasn't that they didn't have a beautiful building, wasn't that it wasn't built right, wasn't that it wasn't in the right location. It's just servicing your debt. How is whoever's going to buy this property and do all these things going to be able to service their debt?
Well, that's an easy answer, Dom, because I mean, if you go on social media, there are a large number of experts on all these topics.
Well, Councilman Levchuk's here. He's talking. He doesn't know he's not on the stage yet. So let's bring him on and welcome him. And, he'll give us a little insight into what his thinking was and, why all of a sudden, hey, we need to revisit this and put it back on the table. Hi, Jody. How are you?
Thanks for having me on, Dom. Drew, appreciate it.
Councilman, how are you, sir?
Fantastic.
Great.
Oh man, how's your inbox been the past week? You don't have to answer that. You don't.
Well,
have
it's
to
public information. I'd be happy to show you.
We'll do a request for records in the Open Records Act here later.
Go for it.
But we don't.
I was just saying to Dom, Jody, that if you go on social media, I just didn't have any idea that there were that many experts on the Ocean City Boardwalk, amusement parks, and hotels. I'm astonished by how many experts there are.
There's a new degree out there.
Yeah. So I'm sure you heard from some of those experts.
I have, and
hi, Jill.
She didn't know I was on call.
Hello.
She's not feeling too well. She's not feeling too well today. She's lost her
that.
voice and a couple other things. Probably her patience with me also.
I think a lot of that seems to be the going trend in town.
Yeah,
depending on who you talk to.
In all reality, a lot of people seem to think that this was like a sudden thing. Like, I went to bed, one way and woke up another way. That's not really what's happened. This has been quite a few years in the making of the Wonderland scenario. And I know it seems like day and night to the general public, but it's really, this has been a thing for the past couple of years, not just as a city council person, but somebody who works on that boardwalk, owns property on that boardwalk, owns multiple stores on that boardwalk, and of course knows all of the other operators and property owners up there. So besides just, public conversation and, there's been a lot of the boardwalk merchants discussing this for a long time. So this isn't just something that's happened very, very quickly. And realistically, I've been on the fence for a long time about this. Why? Because I very much care about and I love Ocean City, and it changes hard on everybody. And I wanted to really make sure, and I didn't think August 21st was my day of utmost confidence. Even though really I think in my brain I knew I probably should have voted yes on August 21st. Maybe some other council people too. I don't want to speak for anybody, but I just in my heart I wasn't ready yet. I felt there was more that needed to be done, more needed to be discussed. But in my business acumen, in my just overall knowledge, being an expert, and certainly having the credentials in the amusement industry, Dom, I don't know what else can happen there without some sort of zoning attention. So that's what it boils down to, in my opinion. I'm not looking at hotel. I'm not looking at the particular property owner. I'm not looking at any of that. That's out of the equation for me. So, all of the folks that have been emailing me claiming that I'm in, this pocket or that pocket or backdoor deal guy or I'm shiesty or whatever you want to call it. I've been hearing it all. It's I'm not even going to defend myself on that one.
Well, I want to step in.
You really don't.
I want to step in and say something too that you just made me think of in your comment. And I think if we don't bring it to attention, people are going to gloss over it. you're not looking at this as a hotel. You're not looking at this as an owner. You're looking at this as, hey, something needs to be done with the zoning in that space, because what it's currently zoned for is not going to be sustainable in the future. So
It's not. It's
so
not. There's
yeah,
no
so
sustainability there. You know, and you know something like it. All these are. There's a lot of what ifs. So sure, what if somebody decided to wake up tomorrow and take a chance and roll tens of millions of dollars into an amusement business that they only get to work 60 to 90 days a year, depending on rain and weather and all that kind of thing. You know, that's just not happening. I'm from that industry. I know everybody who would even remotely have a possibility of taking a shot in that, and it's not in their cards. They don't want to do it. I'm not going to quote anybody particularly, but you know, I think if there were somebody out there that wanted to do some sort of an amusement thing there, and the current owner was blockading them from that, I'm pretty sure we would have publicly heard about that by now. So that's never happened, or I at least would have heard about it, and I haven't at all. So
And that person would have made it public.
of course.
Sure.
So, you know, and you know, and that's another thing too, is you know, if we do talk about the person for a second who does currently own it. Now, I don't really know him from Adam. I just know who he is. You know, he's got good credentials. He's done a lot of good projects all over the place. You know, not just in Ocean City where he's a major developer. He's done a lot of good projects. He owns other hotels in the region, in the area, and he's got a success story. So it's taken this man 50 years or more probably to get the reputation that he has in his industry. And it takes 5 seconds to destroy a reputation. I don't think that we're dealing with somebody who's looking to destroy his own reputation by dealing dirty with our municipality. So do I know that for sure? No, of course not. I just said I don't know the man from Adam. But just common logic, you know, it's like, it's almost like, you know, I when you're a businessman, it's almost like being an artist. I kind of put it like that. Artists can look at other artists' work and they could kind of tell what artist did that work. You know, you kind of know their work. It's for me, it's like I could kind of read a businessman from the work that they do and what they're about just by looking at their projects. And, you know, Drew's known me a bit. I'm not a contract guy. I mean, we're talking about a municipality here, so you got to do things, you know, the government way. But in business, for me, anybody, my vendors, people I've worked for generations, decades, I'm a handshake style person. So I either trust you and I'm going to work with you, or, you know, I'm working with people that I trust. And through all that I've seen of the history of the person that owns that property, I have no reason to mistrust when he says that he wants to continue some of the amusements along with other things like a hotel that he wants to put on the property. But none of this vote on Thursday is neither here nor there. That the vote on Thursday that I've asked to bring back to the table, that I did say no on August 21st, but several things have changed that have led to me wanting to do this and supporting this, is simple. There's nothing else, I believe, that is viable for the property in the condition that it's in that's not going to require some sort of zoning attention. So what's changed since August 21st, Mr. Levchuk? Well, here's what's changed, okay? Number one, I made it clear that we should form some sort of committee that looks into this. We did that. That was my idea. I reached out to City Council President a couple weeks after the matter on August 21st, asked him to put together the best committee that Ocean City could possibly put together to take a look at this zoning for the boardwalk in general. I know, Dom, I'm sorry, but don't talk to me. I didn't. Councilman Crowley had the pleasure of getting to appoint everybody, and I think he did a wonderful job. He put 9 people on that committee that come from all walks of life in Ocean City, have different professions, have dedicated themselves to the city, all in different admirable ways. And, you know, each of them, you know, probably you have some conflicting opinions on that committee, which is good. You know, I know of at least one person who's totally against it, and I know of one person who's totally for it. They cancel each other out. You have 6 other people on that committee, 7 other people on that committee, that are really looking for the best interest of Ocean City. So we've been meeting every single week, putting a lot of time and energy into this. And, it was made clear in the committee meetings that this is not the purpose of the committee, specifically for 600 Boardwalk. The purpose of the committee was to take a look at answering the question of, okay, hey, if I were to move this forward, how do I look at the property owners, the rest of the Boardwalk property owners, and tell them, hey, you're stuck in your little zoning box over here, while people who have a property that's been mismanaged or went bankrupt or whatever, just let it go to that and you could get a different zoning classification. That's not, I don't think that I could do that. That's not proper. So what I thought was proper was form this committee and sort of have 2 parallel roads with each other in the same committee. One is taking a look at the entire Boardwalk in general. What is good for the Boardwalk in general to sort of loosen up some of the boxed in zoning that we have there, and would make sense with 600 Boardwalk, which is also by far more than double in scale the largest property on the entire Boardwalk zone. And it sits right at the entrance of the Boardwalk zone. It's not in the middle of the Boardwalk. It's right at the entrance of that zone. Some could argue that the back half of that property, because it's actually 2 properties, some could argue that back half sits in the hospitality zone, but it just, that's also neither here nor there. What is here is the current options that exist. And the current options that exist is the owner could leave the property exactly the way that it is now. All right. I don't know what that's not doing anything. Gillian's, everybody had a great summer of 2024 on the north end because everybody was cashing in their Gillian's tickets. So the park was busy for a while, especially that last month when they announced their closing. So there was a really great August, and excuse me, my light just went off here with the motion. They had a great 2024, particularly towards the end, because you had the traffic of people there cashing in their tickets. All right. So that's expected.
And getting their last experience.
Yeah. This past summer, 25, totally different story. It wasn't horrible for some people because there are still some people going down that north end of the Boardwalk. And what we commonly refer to it on the Boardwalk was the car accident scene. People are still going down there because they want to see what's happening. What's it look like now? What have they done differently to it, or what have you? Everybody wants to see the car accident. So, nobody's going to go down there for that this coming summer. So what's changed, right, is that number one, like I said, we formed this committee. We're well into the work of that committee. We're getting a lot of data that myself and 2 other people from the Boardwalk that are on the committee are bringing to help educate the 6 others that are on the committee about the Boardwalk. Many questions that they have. A lot of the data, like, how many different types of uses are up there now, how much amusement versus retail, for example, is up there. Really trying to get a good, clear inventory of what the Boardwalk is. I'm biased there because I already know this like the back of my hand. So while I do have a lot of patience, I am quite a few steps ahead here. It's kind of like going to I was telling Drew this earlier. If you go to a hospital and you didn't go to medical school, you never worked in the medical field, but all of a sudden you're consulting how they should run their, operating room or their emergency department.
Right.
There's a lot of experts in this field that have been coming out, calling me and agreeing with my opinion that I delivered at the city council meeting last week. Very few, and that was why I laughed, when you mentioned my emails. Sure, I'm getting emails, and I'm going to tell you straight up, 9 out of 10 of the emails that I'm getting that are not nice ones are copied and pasted. And it's from tomsmith@gmail.com. They're not even real residents. Not that there may not be a resident named Tom Smith, but I'm just saying these are coming from people I've never heard of. They're certainly, they're getting their facts from copying and pasting from folks who are also not well informed based off of just the content they're writing. So, there's a lot of things that are out there that are, it's misinformation, I would say, from both sides. The people that are pro hotel and people who are anti hotel. What I'll tell you is I'm neither of those. I've been neither of those the entire time. I am for what's best for Ocean City. I'm for fairness of all property owners on that boardwalk zone, and we're going to get there. And I'm so glad to be a part of all this, because I think the knowledge and the fairness that I do bring is very relevant in all of this. And I know there's people frustrated with me right now. Some of those people frustrated with me, Dom, they're telling me that I should remove myself. I'm a conflict of interest. Interesting. I wasn't a conflict of interest, a month ago when they were also.
On August 21st, when you voted no, you weren't a conflict of interest.
I wasn't a conflict then. I wasn't, and I'm not a conflict now. And if I'm a conflict tomorrow, I'll remove myself. I don't want to be part of anything I'm going to be a conflict in. Where do I benefit any more than the next guy? I don't see the benefit or the. I don't see where I benefit in any of this. For me, where I'm a conflict. But again, that's also for me.
See, I think the approach that you're taking though, again, is one I think that everyone is so black and white, hotel, no hotel. This isn't a hotel, no hotel decision on your part from what I'm gathering. It's hey, something needs to change down there. That's got to change. You can't have that big a space be strictly for amusements. It's not feasible. It's not doable.
and it's interesting that the proposal that the opponents of the hotel, their proposal includes zoning change.
Absolutely does.
Because you have to have
several different ideas. And all of them require not only for them to be able to buy the property somehow, which they haven't, but also require zoning relief of some sort. So
Jody,
they can eat it too here.
So let me ask you a question.
What are you talking about, Jody?
I understand that you have this committee that's looking at the entirety of the boardwalk, and obviously a piece of that is the North End Anchor, the Wonderland Pier property, the largest property on the boardwalk by far. By asking the planning board to review it and make a recommendation on the status of it, does that conflict with the committee at all?
I don't think.
I guess I'm trying to understand why anyone would be against the planning board, which is what their call is, right? What their charge is, of reviewing the parcel.
That's a great question. It's one that I keep getting asked. It's part of the copy and paste thing. It's very simple, okay? It was my idea to form this committee, okay? And the committee was not formed based solely only on 600 Boardwalk. It was for the entire boardwalk, number one, and number two, for us to focus and give some sort of deliberation on what we think is good for 600 Boardwalk, okay? Now, this is a committee that's made up of, there's 3 people that are from the boardwalk that are on this committee. So I'm not saying this in a negative way against any of the committee members, because again, like I can't tell you how good of a job that I believe that Councilman Crowley did with putting together 9 various different people on there. But if your profession is not in that type of business, there's a lot of things that got to be explained to you about the boardwalk, especially if you have no knowledge of the boardwalk. Like, you might just casually walk the boardwalk and know it like that. But if you don't know who the property owners are and where those property lines actually are, and so on, so there's just so much information up there that, you could come up to me on the worst day and I could probably tell you with exact precision where a property ends and begins, who owns it, what the situation is there, and so thus I'd like to say that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the way that the boardwalk works. And it's not just me, it's really anybody who's dedicated their time and effort for decades to make their living that way. They're going to be a good source, of knowing what goes on there and what's really best for the boardwalk, they've seen businesses come in and try and fail, see another one come in and try and fail. They see other ones come in and succeed. So, you know that when you're the actual operator or the landlord of these operators who have succeeded or failed, you really, it's a little strange to me when you have an entire business community that's come together after, like I said, this has been going on a couple of years. This isn't just, I know it's new to a lot of people, but this has been going on for a long time. And the business community has been deliberating about this, in their meetings, and they're not backdoor meetings. These are association meetings that now, so there's the Boardwalk Merchants Association. It's not a real association where like you pay dues to be part of that association. If you are a merchant on the boardwalk, by proxy, by default, or whatever you want to call it, you're automatically a member of the Boardwalk Merchants Association, whether you go to the meetings or you don't go to the meetings. And most people come to these meetings. We get a good turnout for Boardwalk Merchant meetings because they're very interested. And the turnout isn't just merchants. You get the Chamber of Commerce comes to that. We have a designee from the Tourism Committee that is at our meetings. I said the Chamber of Commerce is there, and a member of the administration is always at least one or two members of the administration. Sometimes the mayor comes, but there's always one or two members of administration, people from various different committees throughout town that are interested in the Boardwalk Merchants. Why? Because we have good information. We make good decisions along with the city, and quite frankly, the boardwalk is the most destined place in the entire city.
Right.
So, you kind of want to listen to the people that make their living there and own the property there. I don't know of one property owner, not one. And they know how to call me. They do it. It's not like they're shy. I haven't had one property owner pick up the phone since I made this announcement last week and question me about it. If anything, it's been the exact opposite. Now, that being said, nobody from the boardwalk ever called me and pressured me either to tell me I need to do this. Nobody. Why? Because they all know me by now and know there's no point in doing that they're never going to pressure me into anything like that. I'm making your video great here with the lights.
So Jody, I'm going to take a little bit of a turn here, but based on what you were saying. So I had made the comment to Dom earlier that, 12 months ago, everyone was very saddened by the closing of Wonderland Pier, and the groups that formed were popular. And I think 12 months later, after everyone has gotten and digested information, that more people and more businesses in town support the Icona Resort in that location. And I'm bringing this up because you mentioned the Boardwalk Merchants. To me, I think there's a part of that turning point is when the Boardwalk Merchants, the Downtown Merchants, the Restaurant Association, and the Chamber of Commerce all voted overwhelmingly in support.
Overwhelmingly is not even a word. I mean, it was almost a complete 100% in every one of those groups.
Yeah. So I think that we all know business people in town. We all know the Levchuk family. We all know the Robb family. And I can go on and on and on and on. Chuck Bangle, Caitlin Quirk, Wes Kasmark, Bill McGinnity, on and on and on. When all of these, really upstanding local citizens are in support of something.
Upstanding is exactly it. Upstanding is exactly it. All of these people have put their reputations on the line. Some of them trashed, some of them being called, in somebody's pocket, or they're getting greased, or what's in it for them. I mean, come on already. How many, really, do you think all these people are getting some sort of handout? Come on.
Well, that's easy social media stuff.
Come
right?
on.
That's easy. Sit at your keyboard, and I don't like your position, so I'm going to accuse you of this or accuse you of that. So I guess I think that all of those all of those associations being in support has really kind of turned the tide in town. And I don't know if that had anything to do with this getting on the agenda, and I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with the way the vote is going to go, but I would have to imagine it should. It should. I mean, you know, as a council person, right? It's really not your opinion that you're voting, or shouldn't be. It's your constituents, just like all of the council people.
I represent the 3rd Ward, which is a piece of the north end of the south end of the boardwalk and the downtown. All right. So yeah, so I represent merchants and downtown in my ward, and of course just the rest of the 3rd Ward residents here. And yeah, there's a couple of them, you know, that are not in favor of this change, but it is highly overwhelming. I mean, I can't even walk my dog around the neighborhood without hearing from, you know, fellow residents, people that I know live here. I see them all the time. Or going and picking up my kids at school and hearing other parents saying things to me, or like I said, the business community, that's where I spend most of my time. Those are the people I see the most, or just random customers that are coming into our store. It's overwhelming support of my opinion that I delivered at the last city council meeting. And I hope people have had a chance to watch it. And I know I went on for like 15, 20 minutes, but there's a lot of information there that's all factual. There's, you know, things that came since, you know, like I said, we started that committee. I'm very happy with the direction that committee is going. We're going to continue to work. That committee is going to be there. So let's just say we send this to the planning board. Planning board comes back with a recommendation of, hey, we think this is an area in need of redevelopment, right? Perfect. Well, we have a committee now that's already in play, that's been working for the last several months, that can now take that and run and do something with it as a committee. That's my vision. I think there's just some confusion there, that I didn't want the committee to work for a year and then come back and say, yeah, I think we like the, you know, the rezoning idea over there at 600 Boardwalk. That really wasn't where my head was at with that. My head was, this is a city council function. This is a government function. We're going to establish this committee that's going to start reviewing everything about the boardwalk as soon as possible. That way city council could do their job, make a recommendation if they want to send it to the planning board. Planning board might agree. They may not agree. Planning board might look at the property and say, no, we don't agree, city council. I don't know that. But what I do know is that our planning board is a group of professionals on their own. Okay. And they have their own merits for being, many of them being on there for years. There's a member of city council on that planning board. I was also on the planning board for over 2 years as a city council designee. So Sean Barnes is there now. He's also on the committee for the on boardwalk zone. But I hope everybody can understand my point and my rationale in this and my vision in this. And it has nothing to do with the owner. It has nothing to do with what the owner wants to do. It has to do with the city being able to take, for lack of a better term, control of the situation, control of the property, where we will then have a committee who's able to establish what the guidelines of what that rezoning looks like over there. Because there's no doubt in my mind that some sort of zoning reclassification is going to have to happen over there. All right? Because the property could sit idle like it is. Nobody wants that. Property owner has every right to do that. Even if he sold the property tomorrow, that property owner would inherit the same rights, every right to let the property stay the way that it is. That does nothing for anybody, including its neighbors. All right? It does nothing. They can make it look nicer by ripping everything down and putting a fence around it. All that's going to do is give a temporary beachfront view to a couple of surrounding properties. That's all that's going to do. That's not going to attract anybody to our boardwalk or to our city. So there's no point in that. That's one of the cards that the current owner or whoever he sells the property to has immediately to do, right? We don't want, I don't think anybody in the city wants any of those two things. All right. What's the third thing that he could do? He could sell the property tomorrow, not the whole property, parts of the property. So right now it's already 2 properties. So he can make it real easy and sell just the West End side or just the Boardwalk side. That's the easy way to go about selling the property. He could also take it a step further, also perfectly legal, well within the on Boardwalk zone current laws, where he could subdivide the property on the east side of the boardwalk, or both. But subdividing it, and don't quote me on this on the depth. I know the width is 30 feet. I believe the depth is either 90 or 100 feet. So he could knock it all down, subdivide the property, buildable land, doesn't need any sort of schematics or building designs or anything like that. All he needs is property lines, and could say, go down the whole linear 300 foot of that property and say, here's the first 30 feet, here's the next 30 feet, here's the next 30 feet, and basically sell developable land 30 by 100 till he gets to the corner. That one needs to be 40 by 100, and sell it off. I'm sure he'll have no problem selling it off. There's plenty of people that are always looking to buy boardwalk front property, even though it might be kind of undesirable. It's still boardwalk frontage. People will take their shot, and you'll have yourself 10, 12 more stores, maybe more, because also in the on boardwalk zoning right now, just because it's 30 foot to build a building and to subdivide the property, but it's only 15 feet to have a storefront. So you could buy one 30-foot lot if he were to break it up that way, and build 2 brand new stores, 15 foot, 15 foot. A 15-foot store is very small. I wouldn't, we operate plenty of stores on the boardwalk. I really, unless I'm doing like an ice cream shop over the counter or something like that, I really wouldn't be interested in a 15-foot wide store. They're very difficult to work with. Now, that being said, also in the on boardwalk zone for commercial property, you are not required any parking. Okay. So he could subdivide and sell those properties to people and not have any parking for them. Does it make it less desirable to buy the property? Probably. Parking's important, but he doesn't have to offer it. He doesn't have to sell it with it. So there's plenty of commercial properties out there that people have bought, including on the boardwalk, including in the downtown, that have no parking.
No parking.
So there are buyers out there for that product. Okay. He could do that tomorrow. Not tomorrow. It's a little harder than that, for the, if he were to break up the property, but it's a simple by right application to the planning board.
So,
and they cannot deny it. It's a by right application.
right.
So could he do that? Yes. Is that an option some people might like? Sure. It seems harmless to go and do that, but where's the benefit for Ocean City or the boardwalk? What makes that marketable? What's going to make people want to go there? Because there's 10, 15, 20 new stores there. You know how long it's going to take to fill those stores? Because no wise operator is going to go in there and take tenancy. There's no attraction. So that's the missing link is where do we get an attraction? So this man who owns the property now, conveniently, has promised Ocean City that there will be attractions surrounding his project. So,
and all of the support is contingent upon that. All the support from the merchants.
My support is
contingent.
I don't know about all the support, Drew, but my support is absolutely contingent upon that. And I know that's what the boardwalk merchants voted on too.
And the
I think they changed
downtown.
their tune real fast if there was no attraction there.
Yes. I know Caitlin Quirk made that very clear.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of missing facts there. I don't think really anybody's ever spelled out to people what could happen with the property. Are those 2 other companies that have been mentioned in the papers really interested and put offers in to buy the place? I don't know. And you know what? I don't care. It's not moving my needle one way or the other. What is moving my needle is the fact that there's 4 empty stores there now. All right. There's 4 stores. So anybody who thinks that they know so much about the boardwalk, well, There's 4 empty stores up there now that actually have very good rents attached to them. So have at it.
Right. Right. All right.
Well,
why don't
yeah.
we wrap up here?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Thursday.
Yeah.
The meeting has been moved to, as I mentioned before, to the Music Pier at 6 p.m.
I love that it's actually on the boardwalk. We're going to be making a big boardwalk decision.
That
on
is,
the boardwalk.
So
And it's probably one of my favorite buildings in the entire city, by the way.
Yeah, I love the music.
So I'm very excited to have this hearing there.
And before we end, real quick, Dom, Jody, I just want to say that say thank you for really having the stones to bring this up. A lot of people wouldn't have, but to bring it back to the city council, get it on the agenda, and have it voted on, to me is again, I don't see any downside. I think it should.
It's our job. It's our job. It's our job to do.
And you're moving forward with whatever the end result is. You're moving forward, and I think the biggest fear and the biggest complaint was that no forward progress meant a dark property for years, and that was a lot of people's fear and point of anger. So thank you.
We're not having that. That's the last thing that we want to have happen. But at the same time, I would rather have it be plain and dark than to have condominiums be built there or more housing be built over there. So
I think we can all agree on that.
We could squash that rumor right there too, that I would be open to condos or to, that type of development, triplexes, what have you. That's not what's going to be good for Ocean City. That's not going to attract people.
And I think the big thing that people have to really keep in mind here is that this is not a vote for a hotel.
It is not.
Or for Mr. Mita to give him the green light to do what he wants. This is to look at the property to see if some sort of change in zoning needs to take place there so that there can be a sustainable entity on that end of the boardwalk moving forward.
And the city gets to name the developer too. The city gets to name who they work with on this type of projects too. So city holds a lot of cards here when it comes to moving forward.
I'm going to put Phasey Builders out there right now.
The whole point of this, the whole point of me talking about it today, the whole point of me bringing up in city council at the last meeting and, putting it on my Facebook page for all to see, or whoever, whatever, is because this is open and transparent. And I do want to see even the stupid comments telling me, saying never listen to a politician in a pink jacket, there were some funny comments.
Yeah.
It's fine. I could take it. It's fine. I'm not worried about all that. But the reason why, I am an open and transparent person. I do enjoy hearing from the public. I do think it's important, but when it all boils down to it, a huge monster change like this, it's really the residents of the city, not the residents who say, I'm a resident, but I don't vote here. Well, you're not a resident here then. You're a resident somewhere else if you're registered somewhere else. It's the real residents of this town that wake up here every day, go to school, deal with their businesses, and call this home. That's where I think the biggest impact of this decision lies, is in those hands. So people ask, well, why not put it out for a voting referendum then? Well, that was the first thing that I publicly asked our solicitor like a year ago. And it was explained. You can't publicly referendum a zoning change. That's why. That's a statutory law. So sure, I would love to do that. That was my first recommendation. That would make my job so much easier here. If we could just simply put it on the ballot and let everybody vote. I agree. Let's do it that way. But you can't. That's not the way it works.
So
why can't you let second homeowners have a say? Same reason. That's not the way it works. It's a local vote if we were to do that, but you can't do it. It's against the law. That's not the way it works. That's what our role is. That's why they pay city council the big bucks to be here. And
and God bless you for that.
And you know what? Here's another thing. Even if it doesn't work out Thursday night and it gets turned down, I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I'm not picking up the phone, calling other council people and asking them how to vote or telling them how to vote or anything like that. I think we're a good team when it comes to the 7 city council representatives. I think overall for Ocean City, we're a very good team. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different constituencies, if you will. I would tell you probably almost all of us are truly independent. And I think we're just going to go with our, real true intentions of when each person casts their vote that night. And again, I don't know how that's going to go. I just trust the process of fellow city council people. If it's a no, it's a no. I'm going to respect the democracy of our city council. But I
can tell you that there's a lot of people
needs to come forward again. I respect it from the first time around. We all had our own reasons why the first time, but things have changed. Things that I think would impact people's reasons why they voted no. And that's it. Here we are.
Well, I think we're all on the edge of our seat with anticipation, Jody. So again, thank you.
I'm more excited to see what color jacket Jody's going to wear this Thursday. That's going to be.
In light of the comments, I am keeping with the pink jacket. It's actually salmon color.
Salmon.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Well,
all right. Well, yep.
Good luck on Thursday. We wish you the best.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming out and providing all this information.
Explain my perspective.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate you getting this information out.
Absolutely. All right.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. Peace. We got DJ Jody. We got the DJ music on today.
I got everything but the DJ, and I got the dog barking. I got the wifey coming in for her coffee. I got the other dog barking. I got the lights flickering. It's a hot mess over here.